Good afternoon, good evening, good day from Marketing Smarties. This session is called together by Gary Whalen, and I will explain this as we go. Um, I appear to be the only one around at the moment, so I'll just ramble on while we're doing this. Smarties, that is the Saturday morning Marketing Smarties show, has been taking a break for about 5 weeks, and I've really needed the break. I had a lot of work I was catching up on, and the R&D hotline website was hacked big time and completely dissolved off the database. And basically, I'm having to rebuild the whole thing. But that's another story. Right now, we're talking mainly about the Smarties show. And the reason this was called together for Gary Whalen, by Gary Whalen, is that I think he was missing us. I think that Gary uses the internet as some of his recreation, and we were one of his weekly stops. We had a couple shows going, and Gary always stopped in and joined us and commented in the comment stream. He's even been on the show occasionally. So he was starting to get used to being there, and all of a sudden the show was off for several weeks. So Gary called me, or that is, he pinged me last week and gave me a message and said, how about we get together a Smarties group soon? And so I said, well, name the time. And he said, Thursday at 2 o'clock. So that's basically how the time slot got selected. Gary said that he was available at 2 o'clock, and I think that he'll probably be around shortly. Oh, hi, Susan. How you doing? Nice seeing you.
I was muted.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is the first time I've been back on with a Smarties Hangout in about a month, or a little more.
Yeah, I haven't done mine for about a month either because I was really sick when I got back from my vacation.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Just finally getting my voice back enough to get back into doing it. I'm supposed to interview Lowell Ann tonight to pre-record for this Saturday.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned that, yeah.
But that's going to depend on whether we get the forecasted thunderstorms they're predicting.
Wow.
Might have to reschedule.
Whereabouts are you again?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
And as of last night, they were saying we had about an 80% chance of severe thunderstorms for like from 5 o'clock on tonight. So
I see. So I never did announce my name. My name is Roland, and our first visitor is Susan Joyce Sleep. And she has her own series of shows that she produces, and took the last month or so off also, I guess. So
Yeah.
We're kind of like coming back into the stream of what's going on here, the live streaming and
Yeah.
that. And today was called together by Gary Whalen. And the reason it was called together is I think that he's one of my most regular constituents, by the way. And Gary is not in business. He's retired for 17 years now, and has probably less reason to want a website than anybody I know. But nevertheless, when I offered the fundraising opportunity for somebody to get a half-price website about a month and a half ago, but more like 2 months ago, Gary went and stepped forward and donated $500 to our fund cause, which was Barbara Quick, and he gave $500. And since he did, I built him a website. So if he shows up today, we'll take a little preview of what his new website looks like. But otherwise, this is kind of like an open session gab on the internet and on streaming media and just whatever we'd like to talk about. Gary may show up any minute, and then we'll give him some time to talk and ask questions and tell us what's going on in his life too. But in the meantime,
Who else are you expecting, Roland?
I'm not sure, but let's see. Oh, somebody else signed up. We have the people who checked in are John Jerkowitz, Monica Schmidt, Nathan Siegel, Kristen Drysdale, Michael Thomas, and J.D. Quinichat. So
Well,
you
I
never
don't know
know.
any of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're maybe more regular on my following and Saturday morning marketing Smarties.
Mm-hmm.
But I've
Which
been
I haven't
interacting
in a
some with
while.
all of them, so any number of them may show up.
Mm-hmm.
And we have several maybes. So Scott Scowcroft, Lon McClure, Roz Betts, Roland, and WeWake. But I think WeWake's doing dishes right now, so he can't be. He's got some other household chores.
And
His time zone is so different from ours, so it catch
right. And I think
weird
Lola Ann
times.
was going to get her hair cut, she said.
That's right. So, I have absolutely no agenda, and the conversation is open. But one of the things that occurred to me as I was taking this month off is I reviewed several of the shows that we did for Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties from a year ago or almost a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the concepts kept reoccurring that when I was going through these videos that the subject matter of almost every episode that we did is still current,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is startling because that means that we grabbed some subjects that were highlighted at that time and are still in the highlight this year.
Yeah.
To me, that's good news.
Yep.
How about you? What's changed for you between last year and this year?
Well, until this last month, I was being more regular with my show. Last year was my first year, and I was really kind of struggling to find guests and figure out, how much I could manage. And then in January, I had decided to go every week with mine. And that lasted until about March, and I just burned out. And I thought, no, I can't do every week. It's too much.
It is a bit of a chore, yeah.
Yeah. And so then I've been trying to do at least once a month, but mostly I've been doing twice a month. So I've been trying to do one guest interview and then one show that I do like a training demo of some kind.
Right, right.
And up until June, I've been pretty consistent with that. And then, like I said, June, I got back from vacation at the end of May and was just, my throat was in such bad shape that it's still not completely better. It's really crazy.
Wow.
But at least I have enough voice to be heard now.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Thanks.
What's really strange, and I should maybe knock on wood with this, but basically, I never get sick. I people around me catch colds. They come down with this and that, sore throats,
Yeah,
and other
I
afflictions.
don't get sick very often. Um, but I think part of it, there was actually a combination of things for me because I had traveled at the beginning of or end of April, and then I had to travel the week that I was leaving for my cruise, which I had to fly to. I had to fly for my job at the beginning of the week. Plus, I had to go downtown to the passport office that week. And there were hundreds of people down there. Half of them were coughing and sneezing, So normally I sit at home in my office in my corner of my kitchen and I hardly interact with anybody except when I go to the store. So
That's
suddenly that week before I went on vacation, I was exposed to a whole lot more germs than I normally
weird.
am.
So
And
apparently
then I went
that's.
on the cruise and ate stuff that I don't normally eat.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think that was like the final nail in the coffin. Too much dairy and too much sugar just knocked me out.
yeah. That
I
is one
managed to
thing.
keep it under control enough while I was on the cruise so I could still get to the workshops and things like that. But I did cut back on some of the shore time and that kind of stuff because I it was partly a business cruise, so I wanted to make sure I could go to the workshop training sessions, even if I had to
Right.
miss some of the other things. But then as soon as I was on my way back, I could feel even by the time I got home that night, that it was getting worse. So, yeah, it really knocked me for a loop.
Nathan Siegel is in the audience. There's at least somebody watching. Hi,
Ah,
Nathan. How you doing, man? And he's talking about doing vocal exercises. I'm a
yeah.
I'm a big fan of vocal exercises, especially because I used to be in participate in live bands as a vocalist and a guitarist,
Uh,
and so I
I
used
used
to
to
do
be
a
a
lot of
choir
that.
director, so I was big on vocal too, but I don't do that much with my voice. Normally it's not a problem, but I'm beginning to wonder if this is because I can feel the graveliness still.
Right.
And I don't know whether it's still from that cold and cough or if I've got some allergies going on as well. But it's kind of frustrating.
So it's a bit of a condition that your throat has achieved in the process, probably, and it's
Maybe that it
still
just
healing.
hasn't can't completely shake it for some reason. Um, anyway, enough about me and my stupid illness.
It's all right. It's an open forum
Yeah,
today. Nathan asked me, "How am I, Roland?" And I'm actually very good. Thank you. My blood pressure seems to be way in line, and I'm happy as ever. And I'm getting a whole lot done, meeting a lot of good people.
good.
Energy is good, and a lot of great connections. So doors are opening, and opportunities abound. And as, in as much as the opportunities are increasing, my creativity is increasing also. And part of the movement that we've in engaged in the last few months is my new website, In It Mobile. And we wake Bendor Rao and I am pretty much trying to put together a new approach to marketing that's different from what's happening on the air right now. And so, as opposed, we were really committed to the no pitch theory. And Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties has been committed to the no pitch theory for going on 2 years. But In It Mobile is the first outreach that we're definitely focusing and targeting new customers and clients, but it's still no pitch. So that's a challenge for us to make the outreach something that's supposed to generate money when we're not outwardly offering services to try to sell them. But we have a different theory. So we're going to execute that theory and see how it goes. But it's a hell of a lot of fun in the meantime.
Yeah, well,
Oops, I think we lost your mic.
oh, I thought I was unmuted. I thought I was muted and then I unmuted myself, but it must have done the opposite.
I think we lost one statement is all.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I'll look forward to finding out what conclusions you draw from that experiment.
Yeah. Well, we're committed to a few different things in principle, but the strategy that we have is to educate the public and not worry about the conversion, the click throughs, the the actual buying. Luring people into a position where they're
Mhm.
challenged to buy something that we create a need for, because I think people know what their needs are, or if they understand what it is we offer, is they're either going to need it or not. So
Right.
the main thing is us educating them as to what we offer, and that's our focus.
And I think with something like a website that you can people know if they need a new website or not, right? Part of what I am always looking at is what about those people that are offering something that people may never have heard of before? They may not know that it exists even. They may not know that they have the problem it's intended to solve because nobody ever pointed it out to them before.
Yeah.
So that's more the challenge that I go after, is how to present that message that of a little bit, not just education, but a little bit of explanation about what the offer is and why they might need it.
Right. So we that's what the Smarties show is designed around. Well, Smarties show is designed around education-based marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we teach people what the needs are, then the subjects that we talk about and the solutions we talk about will make sense. And
Right.
so, but if people don't understand the circumstances, whatever we try to sell them just looks like another pitch.
That's right.
You know, so
Yes.
that's why the education base, and beyond that, I think that we can build the need and explain to people the solution that is solved in what we present, and that's a very key thing because once we get into that, we teach the elements, and then we say, this is why this is a good idea to come along and solve it in this fashion, and I think that it's a pretty cohesive approach. So in the end result, the idea is to let people know, number one, that we recognize what the problems are, possibly even before they realize there's a problem, and number two, we have a pretty good lock on the solution opportunities. So
Yep.
that's the main thing. Oh, we wake us out in the audience. There's Gary. You think some lights falling on me? I doubt it. We wake, but it's a new camera and I'm kind of getting used. Let's see. I'll take some of your clues here and see if I can fix things. Nah, that looks just dull. Contrast. Maybe just too bright. Tell you what, I'll just dull it down a little bit and see if that makes it better. When I put it on auto, let's see what happens.
That's a little darker, but it's also making you a little bit off color, like yellowish.
How does this look right here?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay, I'll leave it like that.
Oops, it just changed.
Well, I didn't mean to. Gotta change it back to the settings.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think. See what Vivek thinks.
No doubt I'll be playing with this for weeks here and
Mhm.
figure out what makes Roland look best. We'll see. But in the meantime, I finally caved in and I bought a C920 camera, and so I've got a
I,
couple of cameras
I
now.
assumed that's what you had before. No?
No, and the problem with it was the camera that I did have had too close a positioning, so I had to try to back up as far as I could from the camera, and I was still bigger than this.
Yeah.
And as it is, this has me zoomed in partially. I actually can zoom out more if I want to, like that.
Yeah.
So that's as far out as it goes for. But the thing is only a yard from my face, you know. So
Yeah, that's mine's probably closer than that even because I don't have very much space where I'm sitting.
yeah. So that's I like to make myself pretty big without looking like a, right in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably use something like that right there as my face.
How are you zooming it in? Because
Oh, do you have a C920?
I do have a C920.
Then you can
But you know what?
download
I don't have the software installed for it because I've been told it does not work with Windows 10.
maybe I don't know. I don't have Windows 10.
Yeah, I do.
That's a shame because it's all about the software. Um,
I should check though because maybe they've come out with a driver for it.
that would not make any sense for them not to have the option of Windows 10. That would be the big mistake for Logitech.
I mean, it just might take them a while to adapt the software to it. Windows 10's only been out about a year, so.
Yeah.
only been public about a year.
I'm getting really tired of the pitches that they hand me, trying to talk me into converting. I really don't want Windows 10
Mm.
at this point, but we'll see.
Well,
Who
I was
knows?
on Windows 8, so I couldn't wait to upgrade.
Yeah, that makes sense. That to me makes sense.
Yeah.
So let me check again and see whether Gary might be coming in or not. By the way, the link is in the comment stream. If anybody out in the comment stream wants to join us in the green room, you're welcome to. And that's how Susan joined me early on there. And we have the links. So I'll post them again, and anyone that wants to join us can.
I'll be
Okay,
back in
so
just a
there's,
minute.
alrighty. So there's the link to the green room if you'd like to come in. Marketing Smarties on a Thursday afternoon here, probably late afternoon back east. And in Britain is closing in on the end of the night. So we wake out there. He's just about finishing up his day. And he joined us earlier in the afternoon, which was our, cutting edge morning. And we had a nice hangout this morning. Let's see. Don't know who the newcomer is, Roland. Wonders if I am coming in. I have been here for almost a half hour. Oh, I gotcha. But Gary. So I'm explaining to Gary to click this link and to come into the green room. And when you do that, Gary, you'll experience some various things. What happens is when you come into the green room, it's a different time sequence. The the difference in time sequence is that the one that you're looking at in the above the comment stream in the event page is about 15 or 20 seconds delayed from the actual production time. So if you come into the green room, all of a sudden we're producing the sound that will be in the video 15 or 20 seconds later. But if you listen to both, you're going to be listening to us talk in the green room and also hearing the product of the video live on your desktop and in the event page. So the best thing that you can do is turn the volume down or stop watching the video in the event page. Otherwise, you'll have dual sound. So thanks for letting me know, Gary, that you're out there. No, Gary, you don't have to shout more. You just have to click the link and to come into the green room, which is, you're in the comment, you're in the audience watching and
He's on the watch page, right?
right.
Oh, there, Nathan joined us.
Hi, Nathan. You're in the comment, you're in the audience watching and you got the volume of your show on too, Nathan.
Oh, whoops. Hold on a second here. Did I get this right?
Sounds like it.
Okay, yeah, I just had to remember to turn off the Google Plus thing so I wasn't getting the double echo thing.
The echo, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm a bit rusty on this.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going okay.
Right on.
I'm trying to keep
gathering.
here.
We're gathering in the name of Gary Whalen, and in the
I know I
spirit
saw
of
the
Gary
announcement,
Whalen.
so.
He's the one that called this together, so I'm just basically try to talk him through how to get into the green room.
Yeah, I remember he's had trouble with that. So.
Yeah, that's cool. But Gary, I know you're out there, and I keep posting this link. What you want to do is you want to turn the shut the video down so you can't watch it for a few seconds. But if you click the link that I sent there, it says Gary Whalen, turn your video in the event video down. Click this link and then come on in. Follow the instructions. You'll find yourself sitting in here in the green room with us and talking directly. And then there will be no time delay, and you won't have to watch the video because you'll be in here in the middle of a live stream with us. So you might want to try that. But in the meantime, if you don't click that link, you're going to continue to be in the audience and in the content stream, but not in the live video. And just so that we see what's going on, Gary donated $500 for the cause of Barbara Quick a few months ago when we had a call to action for people to donate money. And we had the fundraiser, and Gary was the one that came forward and took me up on the offer to do a half-price website, and I gave him $500 credit towards the deal. And it was, since it was half off, that he gets a $1,000 website, right? So
Right.
in his name, I think I'll show everybody what his website looks like. Well, you're out there anyway, Gary, so you'll see us talking about that. But if you figure out how to get into the green room, please do. In the meantime, I'm going to share this screen with you and show you this is Gary's website.
Oh,
So here it is, Gary Whalen, and the top image there is a mock-up of what his picture of himself and his wife, Peg, that he sent me, and I use that in the header of his website.
Mm-hmm.
And then below the menu is a dual image of a couple places regarding where Gary lives. The picture on the right-hand side is actually the community where he lives, and I think that Gary lives somewhere in this area right here, if you can see my cursor
Yeah, I can
on
see
the
it.
screen. But I think that's approximately where he lives. I could be wrong. But at any rate, he lives in a nice little, it's not an apartment, I think it's part of a duplex. It's all white and it's very nice, and they've been redoing the streets and taking care of it. It's a very nice community. And it's the Mennonite village there in Albany, Oregon. And then this picture on the left is a picture of the facility. It's a little center where Gary took his wife for their anniversary celebration this last year. And they notice his anniversary is on September 11th. So as you can see on the left there, the flag is flying half-mast. So I thought, well, that's really interesting stuff. So anyway, anyone can go to Gary Whalen's website. It's a subdomain, garywhalen.rndhotline.com, and that's, and in the hotline, R&D hotline, is the letter R, the word A-N-D, and then D, so two D's back to back, and hotline.com. And the subdomain is still floating, even though the main website got wiped out by a hacker a few months ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm going to rebuild it completely. But that's okay. It was due to be rebuilt. Anyway, and the breakdown on the front page, we have 3 features that lead people to the other pages of the website. As you can see, the photo gallery and
the spam.
Yeah, I'll explain that in a second. And our Oregon Trail, in other words, the various places that Gary's lived on his way to living in Oregon, and then a page about AP and UG, which AP and UG is basically Aunt Peg and Uncle Gary. So those are the letters signifying both of their names. And he, the icon that he puts out there when he's talking about himself and his wife is, he calls himself AP and UG. So they became known for these letters like that. So anyway, that's going to be about them, of course. The spam is an interesting thing. The reason that that's there, that's a small part of a larger image. And we were having a talk one day on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties about spam. And we're talking about internet spam and talking about what a hassle it is and how to avoid it and so forth and don't do it, etc., etc. And Gary's relation to this was that the only spam that he was aware of was what's in this can right here. So that's what he sent me as an icon of what was how he related to the term, and of course it ended up in this photo gallery. So we'll be seeing that shortly. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is Gary's website. You can contact him directly by emailing from the website. It goes right to him, and then we have these pages. So the next page is called About Gary,
Right.
and going here, we have you can read all about this, but the story starts out when he was a boy and what he did where he lived, then meeting Peg. Of course, he didn't meet Peg as a boy, but I kind of short-circuited that and went on to the time when he did meet Peg. And then some time about the railroad offices that he worked at. He spent quite a few years with the railroad. As you can see, it's 1969 to 1999. He worked with this
Wow.
one job all that time, and then he retired. So there's information about his job and what went on with that. And then at the end there, he's got a couple of communities um, that he's facilitating. A couple of them in Google Plus and one in Youku.com. So the links are right there, and you can always check out what he's doing with his communities. So next we have the AP and UG link, and this is the photo that we took and used in the header of the website up above. But they've got such interesting stories. So each one of these um, paragraphs you can get into and read about it more and more. But meeting Peg was interesting. The earthquake in 1989 in San Francisco was interesting, and all of that. So you got more things to read about Gary. A little picture of his family and members of his family, his son, and a couple of the local kids, intermingling with his grandkids, and that's who's sitting there in the picture. And then now for the photo gallery. This is, by the way, a fully responsive site. There are so many businesses nowadays that don't even have these a responsive site. But Gary's site is fully responsive. And becomes mobile friendly just like that if you're on a cell phone. So that's one thing is Gary is up to date and 100% fully armed to meet the mobile world. In the meantime, let's take a look at some of these photos. And this is the one of AP and UG, and his gallery is designed such that you can go left and right with the arrow keys on your computer, so I'm going to do that. These two we have seen. This is a display that he got from one of the center where he lives, and so he's got that display there. That's from a few years back. A look outside Gary's window. I'm not sure it's right outside his office or whether it's another room in the house, but this is out his front door. Gary again. Gary again. This is a stream very close to his house, and it's hard to see, but if you look just below the center of the picture, there's a couple of ducks swimming in the stream there. And I would imagine that they would be like mallards or something like that. They look like they've got green heads.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a very nice landscape, rustic and very woodsy, which I like. So here's a close-up of the picture of the little families seen there. I know that the guy standing up with a cell phone in the background is his son, and then his granddaughter and grandson are sitting in the middle of the couch. And otherwise, I don't know who the people are, but it's a couple of people there are his in blood, and then some other family members. I think the other lady there is his sister. There's the can of spam. So this is the image that Gary sent me when he was trying to respond to how he related to the subject of spam, and that definitely to me was a direct hit. So the Via for Vista Visit is the room that Gary supports on that website, youku.com. And I have successfully engaged in a conversation there, but I do have the connection now. So this is a picture, once again, of the aerial view of his complex and where he lives. And it just seems like a really nice area. There's a lake over there and some big buildings in that. That entire center there is all devoted to the Mennonite village. So all of this is part of the Mennonite village. Another view of Gary's house, and it's another desk. I don't know if it's his wife's or a different desk or whatever. Definitely not the desk that he uses when he goes online. So that's the end of that. That's Gary's photo gallery. Last page of his site basically talks about Gary's trip across the United States and starting out in the Bay Area, going in the St. Louis County area, and a little city called University City, and then ending up back here in Albany, Oregon. So this all this verbiage talks about little things regarding his move and what was going on. And then, of course, a couple more pictures. One of the street in front of his house, and then this one is the workout center where Gary goes daily or several times a week to go and work out right there. So that's basically Gary's website. Of course, the contact me page, which is nothing special. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is Gary's world. So we'll go ahead and stop sharing that now, and we can talk about things. As you can see, this is a very casual hangout with no subject matter that's going to light you on fire. But in the meantime, the other aspects of what we're talking about, or can talk about, is that the internet goes on. The things that we talked about a year and a half ago in internet marketing in the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties program, some of them are very, very relevant today. And if I had played that show today, some of it would have been still cutting edge, all the information, with very few updates. But update indeed, the internet continues on. Mobile gets more and more predominant, and the trends become more obvious. So if you're marketing today, you better be talking about mobile friendly, you better be talking about responsive design, and you better be talking about mobile apps. And around that, then there are ways to promote your business. But those are really some of the most important starting points if you're going to consider an outreach online. In the meantime, I guess Gary got bored of sitting by himself and not being able to go to the Smarties show. So he called me about a week ago and said, hey, when are we going to get together with the Smarties? Why don't we call them all out and have a hangout? And so this hangout was Gary's idea. And let me check on him, by the way.
So how many people are actually on or watching?
Well, let's see. Oh, there's just a couple of viewers.
Oh, okay.
I didn't expect a lot of people to show up, but literally there were 9. There, we started out with 7 today. There's 9 now, so 2 more people have actually signed up. That's kind of funny. So you're watching, but I appreciate if you are. This was mainly done for fun. It was not an official Marketing Smarties episode where I was going to talk about something or try to teach something or nothing like that. But WeWake is still out there, and he's throwing out some words. Oh, my son is out there. So Tai Takaoka, by the way, is my son. He lives back east, um, in the Wisconsin area. And hi, Tai. Nice seeing you. Nice seeing you virtually. So thanks for showing up. We're just kind of beating around right here and not really conversing around anything in particular. But Nathan, you were the last one on here. Anything on your mind that marketing should be attending to today? Any subject that you think that we can mention in Smarties and maybe use for the show later on?
Oh my gosh, I don't really know in the moment. I mean, I've been working on my own stuff, but what I've been doing is a while ago, I wound up having a conversation with one of my friends on Blab, and he reached out to me and said, I'd like to help you with your business. And I actually thought he was kidding. But anyway, it turned into a long conversation, and what it came out with is came up with an idea based on something I learned 15 years ago, which is the art of interviewing people. And interviewing people for various topics. I wound up working as an interviewer for a magazine for many years. And what happened is I wound up repurposing that idea, because there are a lot of people who are writing books. And one of the major things that people run into is that they want to write a book, and when they realize how much work it is, they get overwhelmed quite often and quit. And it's because writing a book's a lot of work. So what I came up with is a system where I interview the prospective author on what it is that they want to write. So what I say to them is, hey, create a list of chapters, what you want to cover, send them to me. I create a list of targeted questions, so I send them back. And then I say to them, what else would you like me to ask you about in this book? So we go back and forth on this. Eventually we have a list. I sit down and interview them. After the interviews, they get transcribed, edited, and before you know it, we have a book. So that's what I'm working on. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time now.
So that's interesting. Susan, you're an expert interviewer also. So why don't you relate to what...
Well, I don't know if I'd call myself an expert, but I sure enjoy doing it. That's what I do on my Hangout show. And I have heard of other people using that approach for books, so I'm glad that's working for you. It does seem to be a good way to help people get the information on paper eventually without having to do all the writing.
For sure. So, yeah, it's been rather surprising. Like just doing some interviews for a different topic that I was working on, and I had to interview somebody for an hour, and I was absolutely astonished by the number of words. Over 10,000 words on the average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quite a bit.
And then do you have somebody edit, or you just leave it in kind of the raw interview format?
No. There would be editing. Like one of the guys I'm working with, actually my first client to do with this, we were just going to do it where I would interview him on a particular concept he had in mind. Then he said to me, no, I want to do the interviewing. I have all these MLM people in mind. And he found a large list of people, like 200 contacts of high achievers in MLM, so that's great. And we went back and forth to come up with the questions based on a technique that I created. And so he's going to go out there and do the interviewing himself, and then we'll come back.
To interview those people and put them together.
Yeah,
That's
and then after that, so I'll get the recordings, get them transcribed, and then what I'm going to do as part of putting this thing together for him is look at all the different interviews and then find the common points, the highlights from each interviewer, and then put them into a comprehensive table. And saying to my colleague, I said, we should put this at the very beginning of the book as like a cheat sheet, if you will, the highlights of what these people are saying. And so people who want to learn MLM will see this, and then for whichever interview they like, here's the page in the book to go to read in more detail.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's what I've been working on. And it's been a little bit slow, but it's going to pick up. I know that. But some of the proof of concept, well, I know somebody out there who's doing what I'm doing already. And so I've been able to model what he's doing for my own approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for sure it works, and I know that he's doing well because somebody told me about him and what he's been doing. So there's that, but there's what Roland was talking about earlier, which is the giving without selling approach. And I've done a couple of blabs on this. I'm going to be doing more because there's the book idea, but a lot of people aren't ready for that step. It's too much for them.
Right.
So I'm going to do a whole bunch of ongoing webinars showing people how to get published on a much smaller scale, like through magazines and guest postings and stuff like that.
And short Kindle books too would be perfect.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's
true
much
too.
easier than doing a full-blown book.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
So, Susan, are you pretty knowledgeable about publishing Kindle?
I'm not. I'm still working on finishing my paperback book. I'm trying to get finished writing it this month, and I was told to do the interview method by the coach I was working with, and it just didn't fit well for me. I can type my ideas a lot faster than I can write them down and then record them and transcribe them, because I'm a really fast typist and I'm used to thinking while I type. But it is also meaning that I'm also I've been dragging it on for a while, so finding other things that are higher priorities. And
couple of options for you that you may not know of is, like, for the questions or whatever it is that your topics are, to speak them into a dictaphone, and then go to a site like Upwork and look for a transcriptionist. And I know that you can get transcriptionists to do, like, say, an hour at a time for like $15 or $20.
Right.
So it would save you a lot of time.
Oh, 15 or 20, that's pretty cheap.
I
Yeah,
know.
if you know a site where you can get that, because I've heard a lot of people recommend rev.com, but they do $1 a minute.
That's right. That's
a minute.
commercial
So
rate.
then an hour would cost you $60.
Yeah. That's a standard rate, and I'm familiar with it. I've used it, but Upwork you can get it for considerably less. I've got one really good transcriptionist that I'll be using once I get started, and I initially started with her like $12 for a 1 hour recording. We've since gone up to 20. I was prepared for her to say to me, I want 30, in which case I would have said, fine, you're good.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need a whole bunch of people like her.
Yeah.
I wish it was longer.
I actually did a couple of interviews for my book just to have some stories to intersperse, to make it more interesting. And I have, I think, one or two that need to be transcribed. So if you might be willing to share the transcriptionist, I could send her a little bit of work too to get that.
Yeah, sure. I'll give that to you right now. Her name is Rush Kazi, R-U-S-H,
Okay.
K-A-Z-I.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. And she's on Upwork, you said.
Yeah, she's on Upwork. She charges $20 for 1 hour transcription, or at least that's the rate I've locked in with her.
Okay, great.
She's really good, and you'll be very happy with the quality she gives you.
Good. Yeah, I don't normally do a lot of stuff that needs transcribing, but like I said, I know at least one interview, and I think there might be another one that I didn't finish transcribing.
Oh, it's good we made the connection there. Is this the first time that Nathan and Susan, you have met each other?
Yes. So
I was wondering. I thought we had at some point, but I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah,
maybe seen each other in passing in various hangouts.
Maybe.
Probably.
That's possible. Yeah, so I was glad to hear what you're doing because I don't really know anything about you.
By the way, I've written a book.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's your book about?
When I ended up in the hospital in 2012, I was there for 3 months. And, well, I wasn't actually in the hospital for 3 months. I was in medical care facilities for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was a hospital for 5 weeks. And then the second one was a nursing facility rehabilitation center for 6 weeks, and then another several weeks in an acute rehab. And finally, I just said, I've had enough of this stuff. I want to go home. I hadn't seen my cat and my family, and of course, my wife came out to visit me every day. But I hadn't seen my normal life for 3 months. And of course, my normal life changed radically because what it was 3 days a week racquetball and doing a lot of regular activities in my life. And suddenly, I couldn't drive, I couldn't visit, I couldn't network with people directly. I was deep into networking, so my all my work came to a halt in March of 2012, and in June, I was out there. I finally got out of the facilities. I was in a wheelchair, and
Oh,
basically, um, I went to Vegas. We took a trip to Vegas, and I said, I'm so glad to be alive and mobile that we're going to go to Vegas. So we went to Vegas, and I was given $50 by my mother-in-law, and she said, "This is so you guys can go play." And okay, at Las Vegas, you can't. It doesn't go real far, right? But $50, either you can buy something, a trinket, or you can go play or do some one-hour band, whatever you're gonna do.
Or go to dinner. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and basically we had just had a huge dinner, so I took my $50 and I said, I got to put this on a craps table because I dearly love the game of craps. So, just to make a long story short, my journey to the craps table started out with $50, me sitting in the end in my wheelchair, barely able to see over the top of the table, and rolled away with 135 in an hour and a half. So
Nice.
Nice, nice, nice. Very good.
that isn't the best I've done, but it's symbolic of I can usually leave the table with more than I took to it. So I'm probably about 3,000 ahead in general, just
Hmm.
with from craps tables. So I liked the game so much that I came home one year in about 2007. No, maybe more like 2004 or five, and I built my own
Good.
craps table.
Hey,
built it out of
well,
some built it out of some plywood and various things. Had a really nice finish, three-dimensional. It had the sides and the bouncers and the whole bit. So it was fun. But anyway, after the Las Vegas thing, that was in June, July, August. August came along and I said, I got to do something. So I decided I'd write a book. And it was so vivid to me what happened in the hospital and the nursing center that I decided to write it about that. The whole story is basically about uh, mainly about 95% about my experience in the facilities,
Hmm.
and there. It's really interesting because a lot of people don't know a lot of the stuff that I reported from the book. And they said, "God, I didn't know that that went on. I didn't know that this is how they did that. I had no idea that the food and the utensils and the various things that when you're in the hospital were so pitiful, and the diet and the menu. That's all I got really into that. But that integrating with the condition of being hemiplegic, where my right side of my body didn't work at all, and trying to figure out how to do everything one-handed,
Mm.
and I wasn't able even to sit up in bed. I was so disabled I couldn't sit up in bed, so I relied on people to help me move and stuff, and try to sit up. They had to help me get up, and I couldn't even sit on the side of the bed without toppling over. So there was a lot of work to do, and
Yeah.
I went through a lot of therapy and stuff like that. But when I got to the end of the two other facilities in that, I thought, man, my experiences were amazing from the nursing staff, the doctor staff, and the other people alongside me in the care center. I
Hmm.
mean, there were some extreme characters that I met, some really crazy, wild people, and I mean, some of them literally crazy. But the therapists and the nurses and the doctors and stuff, everybody had their own personality, and so that's what this story is about. It's 240 pages, and it's some a few people read the book, and they said, "Oh my God, I laughed, I cried, I did, all this stuff," and it was very inspirational. I thought, "Wow, maybe I've got something here." So I'm going to try to market it someday, and that's something in my future. I may have to rewrite parts. I may have to, polish it up a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think it's pretty good. It's called Adventures in Rehab.
It's
Adventures in Rehab.
Adventures in Rehab?
Yeah. So a lot of people are going to grab it thinking, "Oh, this is about a drug
About drug rehab, yeah.
deal."
I guess so. You remind me of Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week. The original working title, the title that he was planning to use was "Drug Dealing for Profit" or something like that.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard
Wow.
He was in the pharmaceutical industry selling drugs. The publishers didn't like that, and it became the 4-Hour Work Week. How that came about,
Wow.
I don't know. But I remember him talking about it. So
Talk
that was
about whitewashing your title there.
I had heard
Wow.
I didn't hear what the original title was, but I had heard a story about how they selected the 4-Hour Work Week by
Yeah.
running ad tests, to see what people were interested in. And even
Sure,
though the
that
title
makes
really it doesn't have much to do with the book. They picked it because a lot of people were interested in it. So,
Yeah, of course. It's standard copywriting. I mean,
yeah.
like I tested some different headlines using some copywriting phrases, and one of the things that I used, like, how to recover from blah 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 faster than you ever dreamed possible.
Right.
That's a really great copywriting headline, and a lot of people liked it. I was amazed by how much my results went up when I used that.
I need
So
to
that's just an example.
that I'm not very good with my titles, even like for my blog posts and my shows. I try to make them a little more interesting, but I'm always concerned about making them say what it's really about, and I guess I need to forget about that and just attract people
Hey,
to it.
Barbara, nice to see you.
Hey, Barbara.
Barbara Quick, how are you? I like your hair.
Thanks.
Yeah. So give us the short and sweet update of how life is. I know that this is something that's going to be a mouthful coming from you, but Barbara has got some really diverse life situations on an ongoing basis with her husband, her stepson, and her daughter. And so this should be an interesting 5 minutes.
I'm getting double sound. I don't know why.
That means that you've got sound on someplace other than. It's
Oh,
an echo.
I wonder.
Maybe at least turn the volume down a little bit, and that'll help.
No, now the sound went away. Oh, wait.
It's interesting. We discussed with WeWake and
Now
Lowell.
I'm not getting any sound.
Now that's a problem. Can you hear us? Anyway, with Lowell and WeWake and I were considering we should do a short series on the protocols and the execution of proper stuff, so people can be in Hangouts. And if you watch that before you get into a Hangout, you're going to know what to do.
Yeah, I actually have a one-page handout that I send my guests. Well, if they're going to be a guest on my show, it's a couple pages. But like if I am just going to invite people to come on live at the end to ask questions or something, I have a one-page sheet I send them.
Got it.
But mostly I can't. Oh, now I'm echoing.
The gremlins are playing with us.
And I've got my
If you were on
earbuds in.
Blab, we would say you're Gilberting, but that's another story.
I've got my earbuds in, and I've got my. I never started the Google Plus recording, so it's not that. Anyway, I'll mute myself, and Barbara can try again.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my earbuds, for some reason, they were causing me to have double. It was like about a 20-second delay. I was hearing everything again.
Usually a 20-second delay is because you've got the event page playing the live recording, the streaming play, you have that live also. So that what happens is it processes through Google Plus, through YouTube, comes back as a streaming video in the event page, but it's 20 seconds delayed. So if you have the volume of that up, that creates the extra sound that we don't want, and that is
Yeah,
such a hassle.
well, and I have taken everything, I keep clicking things off, and I've got everything off now, and with my speaker on, I can hear and everything.
How about with your
And
speaker off and your earbuds in?
yeah, I don't know, because I was having trouble with them.
But I think that was probably because you had the Google Plus event page playing, Barbara. And
That's
that's
what it
probably
sounds
where
like to
I
me.
was coming through also, was through her speakers, not through
Yeah.
mine.
Probably, yeah. So interesting to see Ty out in the audience. My son lives back east, and he has his new job that he's working and so forth. So he doesn't often get to listen. And Saturday mornings he's usually quite busy. But
Yeah.
Thursday afternoon we happen to catch him. Well, let's see. Thursday afternoon. This is Thursday late afternoon for him. Probably
Yeah.
5 o'clock now.
Yep, it's 5 o'clock here. If he's in Wisconsin, he's the same time as me.
God.
I wonder if they're getting ready for the storm up there, too.
So how's the weather doing in your area, Ty? You can let us. You can report back to us on that. Well, anyway, thank you for coming in, Barbara. Nice to see you again. And
Sorry
well,
for the delay.
yeah, that's all right. What is the update on your life things going on? I call it the ongoing saga of Barbara and her life.
Well, 3 therapists today.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
just constant in and out, and they were here and doing this and doing that and trying to work meals in between there and taking dogs out in between that. And so, I mean,
By
it's
the
been
way,
kind of crazy.
the therapist that Barbara was talking about is some various types of physical therapy and occupational therapy, but it's for her husband, not for
Yeah.
her. So
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
her husband is gradually needing more and more assistance and so forth, and Barbara takes care of him 100% of the time. He was in the facility for a few weeks, and then he finally came. They brought him home, and now she's on full time again. So
Wow.
she's
Yeah,
the sole driver.
he was in the hospital and a nursing home 2 different times since the end of February.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Well, is he?
6 weeks. This last time it was 6 weeks away from home.
Wow.
Good
So-
grief.
Long time.
That's got to be tough for him.
Yeah.
So
And,
is
and
he?
it's exhausting for me when he's home.
I can imagine.
I bet
Oh.
it is, yeah. I know my
Well,
dad
is
was
he-
taking care of my mom, and when she finally went into a home, he was so exhausted, he ended up in the hospital
Yeah, I
Wow.
believe
with
it.
pneumonia. Yeah,
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah.
So, did he come out of it physically any stronger? Is he better with the therapy and stuff?
Oh, Barbara's husband, you mean, or
Yeah.
my dad?
Kind of yes and no.
Mm.
You know, the home health therapy is helping him more. When he came home this last time, he was just a lump. He couldn't move. He couldn't get up. He couldn't
Wow.
do anything. And he came home on a Monday. He had a Thursday doctor appointment that I had to try and get him out of the house. We've got a lift, so that helped. Wheeled him out. First time we'd used the wheelchair since they'd brought it. Wheeled him out and tried to manage to struggle to get him into the car. And, I mean, it was murderous. And got him to the doctor, found out he had what she called acute conjunctivitis. And my brother says, that's pink eye in both eyes. And came home from the nursing home that way. And so that was on a Thursday. Got the antibiotic stuff to put in his eyes. He can squint his eyes tighter shut than anybody I've ever seen. And trying to put that in, fun. And it
Oh
was
my
everywhere.
gosh.
It's a thin, this teeny little tube, smaller than my little finger even. And this was going everywhere. It's like a real thin ointment. And so he had more of it on his face and on his top lid, and I was supposed to pull out the bottom lid, drop it in the little pocket. When they're pinched tight like that, it's kind of hard to do. Somehow he absorbed enough of it that by late Saturday he was doing better, but up till then it was just very difficult. So, but he's doing better than that now, fortunately. It's just,
Well, that's good.
tiring.
Yeah. So what are you doing to take care of yourself, Barbara?
That's what I want to know. Yeah.
Sleeping at night is, I kind of collapse into bed at night. That's about it. Short on money still. Money is just, it's either we buy food or we pay the bills. Not a good choice. And so try and pay the bills, but we have to eat too. And, it's just driving me crazy that I've got all that on my shoulders on top of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
What about going to food banks?
Most of it's canned foods, and some of them are outdated even that they give out.
Yeah,
and so, I try and do better for us than that. I try to be pretty economical and still try and do better than just feeding us canned foods. So
I understand, but what I'm saying to you is that depending on the food banks, like I wound up on welfare for a while in my life. I was homeless for a bit, and then I wound up on welfare. And speaking of books, I wrote about my experiences of being homeless, so that'll be an interesting read for some. But when I got off the street, one of the things that I did is I learned about the different food banks. But one of the things that came about to do with that information is I learned that some of the food banks, depending on the day that you show up, have fresh produce and stuff like that. Another thing that you can do is there's a website in existence all over the world. It's called freecycle.org. And if you go there, one of the things that will happen is there will be people who are giving donations of food. Case in point, a number of years ago, a guy wanted dowsing for his property, and I said, sure, I can do it. I did it only once before I went there, did some dowsing, and he gave me 2 huge bags full of organic apples. And other times I, put a request out for food, and I got tons of it. So that's what I'd recommend to you. So I know it'll help. If there's a free cycle organization near where you live, you would find it through Yahoo Groups, and it's a really good resource. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I have heard of Free Cycle.
It's really good. I mean, I made major use of it. I wound up getting a couple of computers off Free Cycle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, serious. They weren't exactly current, but I got computers.
Yeah, our problem is we live in kind of a smaller town, foothill town, and now Chico is about 25 miles away. It's a university town.
Right.
And, but it's 25 miles away. They might have more. Here we have a food bank, and then there's a couple of churches that have their own food banks, but most everything is just canned foods that they give out.
Right.
There is Gleaners, but you have to pay, I think it's $38 to join for 1 month, and I'd rather just go buy food.
Sure. Obviously, I'm just suggesting things that I know about based on my own experience to do what I can to give you a hand. The other thing that happened which I discovered while being homeless, it was a weird thing, is in my neighborhood, I'm from Victoria, BC, Canada, and when I was living there, when all this stuff was going on, is I would go to Starbucks, and obviously not a cheap place to go, but Saturday night I discovered they would put out a lot of food, bagels and stuff like that, that they had expired, and they would say, take as many as you like. And so what you might do is go around to different restaurants and stuff like that and see if they do giveaways and stuff like that, because they do, if you show up at the right time.
Yeah, what a lot of the markets and that here do is they donate it to the gleaners, we can get breads through there. One of the fellows at our church, he and his wife go down on Fridays, I guess it is, and the gleaners give them a whole bunch of bread, so we managed to get bread and bagels and things like that through there for free.
Good stuff.
He brings it to church on Sunday. Well, he sets it up Saturday, and then we can pick up whatever we want. Some weeks it's things you don't necessarily want to choose, but you know, a lot of times we do keep pretty much in bread that way.
I got really good at making cheap meals when I was a starving young student.
Yeah.
You know, just coming out of the college era and stuff. And basically, I was living in an apartment where I was paying 1/3 of the rent, and the rent was $75. And so I was making $1.75 an hour, maybe, and that was minimum wage. I mean, you know, back in those days. And I got enough money at a time where I'd go to the grocery store and I would buy a dozen corn tortillas. There's like 25 cents a pack. And then remember the days when eggs were 69 cents a dozen? Okay, there's that. And then minute rice was 50 cents a box, you know, for a box of rice. And then I would have a few seasoning packets from various restaurants and things that I'd been at. And I would take a big wad of butter. I would fry up the tortillas, fry up the rice, and fry up the eggs, and make rice and egg tacos. I could make 3 or 4 rice and egg tacos for, you know, it was probably about a 50-cent meal or something like that. And that would go. I could make 5 meals out of a dozen eggs, package of tortillas, and a few things in the minute rice. So that's how I survived doing stuff like that. And you know what? I introduced my wife to the concept of egg and rice tacos, and she makes them today once a week.
It's really funny. Like, actually, one of the things that you can do, Barbara, and you may not have even thought of this, but I learned it during the welfare period, which thankfully ended 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now. But when I was with a roommate, the guy was a vegetarian, which drove me nuts for different reasons. But one of the really cool things I learned, I wound up with an iron deficiency because of that. My doctor thought I had colon bleeding and stuff. It's now normal. 2 years later, it's normal, and I'm back on my normal diet. But anyway, one of the things that I learned from my roommate, which was actually really useful, is go and get yourself a bunch of mason jars, 1-quart mason jars, and then go down to an organic food store and get different types of seeds. Like, my favorites were mung beans and lentils. And what you do is you take a few tablespoons of those, and you throw them into a jar, and you cover it with water, and you leave it out on your counter for a day. And then the next day you drain it off, you put some more water in, you drain it off again, seal it up, and put it inside the oven, which is dark, fairly dark. And you wind up rinsing those seeds every single day. And I promise you, within a few days to a week, you'll have an enormous amount of sprouts using just a few tablespoons of seeds and water. And it's just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and I was doing that the entire time that I was there.
Yeah,
really
and
cheap
highly
way to
nutritious too.
What's that?
And highly nutritious too.
Absolutely, yeah. It was one of the, Didn't like my roommate much, but I learned some cool stuff from him, and that was one of the things super useful, and that will help you for sure.
I like that. I hated the guy, but what's my takeaway from this?
Well, you know, it's been a while since I've been on your show. Actually, a very long while since I've been on your show, Roland.
Well, it's been a month since I even had a show. But
Yeah, but
Smarties will be
even
coming
before
back
that
soon.
is what I meant.
That's true. It's like you dropped off the face of the earth, you went over to Blab, and suddenly you were in two different virtual worlds for like a few months.
Well, yeah, and then I got sick a while ago, and I lost my voice and everything, and for the better part of a month. But the way that it wound up getting better is that's why I mentioned the vocal exercises, because I discovered this guy, a couple of really great sites, and they gave me these exercises, and when I tried them, I suddenly realized that it was actually far better than the guy was saying that you might be at a certain level, and I recovered very quickly after that. I just did a few of these exercises.
Okay, I'm going to have to try it, I guess, because I'm really struggling to get mine back after being sick.
Well, do me a favor, would you, after the hangout, you know, ping me or something, and
Okay.
I'll find exercises and send them to you so you don't have to write them down.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah, Barbara, you know what I was going to suggest too? I don't know if you have the option to talk to an elder care attorney about whether there are any changes they can help you with in terms of, I know my dad went through this with, my sister helped him out there, especially as they were getting ready to put my mom in an Alzheimer's care facility. And they needed help figuring out the right way to set that all up so that eventually, my dad paid for it at first, but then eventually she's on Medicare now, so they're paying for it. But he wouldn't have known how to do that all himself, you know. And the attorney definitely helped them also with some things like, you know, he went through, once Mom was in the facility, then there was no reason for my dad to be living in their condo by himself, so he moved to a retirement home, and so the attorney helped with selling the house and all those things. So I know that's not where you are with it now, but it might be good to see if you can find someone that can help you with the planning, and they may be able to come up with some ways to save you a little bit of money too, you know.
Yeah, I know the social worker with home health. Cliff's in a different home health group this time, but with the other home health group, well, the social worker gave me a bunch of paperwork and everything and kind of guided me to some extent. And then when he was in the home this last time for the therapy, they told me to try and apply for Medi-Cal for him. And because we have insurance, we've got a supplement to our Medicare.
Right.
But they said, see if we could get him on Medi-Cal. Well, the biggest holdback there, they go back 2.5 years. Our savings account, we had to strip down, and it's down to the $50 minimum just to hold our accounts open, because we've got a low interest Visa through there too, through the credit union. And so, but they look back 2.5 years, and we had 3,000 and something in it at that time. Well, it's been used, but they don't care what you have now. They look back 2.5 years and they say, well, you had this much. That was over the 3,000 that you're allowed.
Right. Yeah, and if you have medical expenses that eat that up, then
they also, the property, we own a mobile home on property where our son-in-law and daughter are living, and that is also a holdback. And they've got all these rules. If you sell it under price, then far enough under price, or if you give it away, they can actually permanently disqualify you from ever being on Medi-Cal. And if you sell it too low, well then, you're disqualified for like 36 more months, and I don't know. They've got all these terrible rules to go by.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it would mean
they're trying to
dumping
make
our
sure
kids on the
people
street.
they're trying to make sure people aren't cheating the system, by
Yeah.
giving the property to their kids instead of having it in their name. But
Seems like
yeah,
you find
but
an
an attorney
advocate.
can help you figure some of that
Yeah.
out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they're going to need money, and we just don't have money to pay anybody.
But often they will work for you with once you start to get the money in, then you pay them. I think
Yeah.
sometimes they will do that. That's where
I know my dad was having money problems because of my mom's health when they were both alive. And, I mean, she was in the hospital practically constantly, in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
And so he went to an attorney in town, and the attorney filed bankruptcy because he had to. And the attorney wanted $500. And so, and I mean, that's years ago. Now it's probably more like 2,000 or 3,000.
If it's in Canada, they would charge you $1,800 to file for bankruptcy. Last time I checked.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here, like I say, here it's probably 2,000 or 3,000. When my brother checked before he moved to Colorado, well, he checked, and in California it was going to be 2,000, and this was maybe 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just everything is money, and if you don't have it, you're kind of sitting dead in the stream.
Well, my goal has always been to get you freed up enough where you can spend a small amount of time writing your blog and building up your following. Because the one thing that you do have is an ability to write. We know that.
Yeah.
And if you develop something with your Dogs and Their Owners site or with the Discovery Health and Happiness website, you could probably find a way to affiliate out and promote some products that would make you some money. And that's what I'm hoping for it, because your skill is in writing for sure.
Well, and I just haven't had time to update those now for about a year, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of leaning toward turning those into books, and then writing books both about our son-in-law and about our son, our late son. And
Nathan can help you with that.
What's that?
Nathan can help you with the books, right?
Well,
Yeah,
he sent me a blueprint thing that I haven't even had time to open it and look at it, but I've got it stored on my computer. So.
Well, one of the many hats I wear is being an editor, and I just finished a major editing job. Well, stage one of a major editing job for a client. I've edited books for a number of other people too. So depending on what you want, we can talk.
Okay.
Well, that's cool stuff. Barbara, thank you for joining. We're going to be wrapping this hangout up in a bit. The one message regarding marketing Smarties that we will make as a plug to the show that's maybe a week or so away. We're going to be starting again on a Saturday morning, probably the week from this Saturday. And the subject that I'm going to open up with is a review of responsive web design and mobile web design. Because nowadays people know that they want a responsive site, but it's just a title to most people. And there are a lot of issues regarding responsive design that you must pay attention to. It's not just the fact that it's going to adjust to the various devices from a smartphone to a computer. It's like how you design the site so it works better on those formats. And there's a completely different philosophy involved in the web design. It's no longer you put your encyclopedia online with, gee, I've got about 15 or 20 pages and I've got all this data. It's not about all the data. It's about giving the people the right thing at the right time and being everywhere. And so you have to be on all the platforms and format, but how you design your site is critical. So we're going to be getting into that in a week, and then we'll be following up on the various other subjects that we've carried on for the last year and a half. And that'll be the Smarties show, starting it up again real soon. Molly will be joining us again, and also Karen will probably be joining us too, but she's now a new mother of twins, so she's got her hands very, very full. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, thank
Oops, what
you
happened?
very much, guys, and hope it's weather is holding out for you, Susan, and good luck with your
Yeah, it's getting
get
pretty
together.
dark, so I'm gonna have to go check the forecast and let Lowell Ann know whether we're gonna record tonight or not, or if we're
Yeah.
gonna be interrupted by thunderstorms.
Uh-oh.
So listen, very good tidings to everybody involved and all of you guys listening and watching out there. Thank you very much for tuning in to Marketing Smarties. We'll see you again really soon. Roland signing off. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you, Roland and Barbara.
Yes.
Nathan, nice meeting you.
Yeah,
Nice
likewise.
to see all of you.
Follow up with you.